Veronica Bird not too happy about that.
Look at the bench reaction.
The face, jaw drops.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel with another big update. And this one is wild. ESPN just dropped the shocking truth behind why Sandy Brondello was let go by the New York Liberty. For this story, we gotta take it straight to New York. This is currently the hottest topic in the sports world. It's one of those breaking stories nobody saw coming. And while it may not dominate headlines for long, just like I always promise, I'll be following it closely and sharing updates as new details emerge. Here's what we know so far. Alexa from ESPN tweeted earlier today that Sandy Brondello had officially been dismissed by the Liberty. Shortly after, the Liberty front office released a statement confirming the move, and that's when things really started to snowball. But here's the part that has everyone confused. Alexa sat down with ESPN to explain why the decision was made. And honestly, it's even crazier than people expected. According to her, the Liberty had already been considering moving on from Brondello last season. That's right. She was reportedly on the hot seat before the team even won the WNBA championship. If you remember, I mentioned in a previous video that there might be some tension between Brondello and the Liberty's front office. That's the only explanation that makes sense. I mean, how do you fire a coach who took the team to finals 2 straight years and actually delivered a championship? Brondello has won more games than any other coach in franchise history. The playoff losses under her weren't even her fault. They were tied injuries and depth issues. Yet, despite all of that, she's out. This is where the story takes a dramatic turn. Speculation is growing that this move could create a domino effect among the players. Sabrina Ionescu might start questioning the team's direction. And let's not forget Breanna Stewart. People overlook the fact that Stewart only signed a 1-year deal with the Liberty. Same with Kelsey Mitchell and a few other key players. Those short contracts were designed around the ongoing CBA negotiations. Now, with Brondello gone, Stewart has the perfect chance to leave if she chooses. That's the major risk the Liberty are taking. They didn't just fire a coach. They may have opened the door for their championship core to walk away. The real question now is whether the Liberty front office made a bold power move they'll regret, or they already have a master plan for the future. Either way, this story is far from over, and I'll be here tracking it for you. Now, let's roll the ESPN clip of Alexa breaking it all down.
A WNBA franchise that invests a lot of resources, a lot of financial, capital into these decisions. So I think it wouldn't be shocking though if they decide to go after maybe someone in the NBA, someone that we might be a little bit more of a non-traditional hire. I do think Sandy Brondello has a great shot of getting hired again. We know what she has done in this league. We know that there's openings in Seattle, for example, in addition to the 2 expansion franchise that are still yet to hire their coaches. So definitely some things to look in developing, weeks and whatnot. But it is the end of an era for sure for Brondello and New York.
Yeah, the Liberty said that the search for their next head coach, it is getting underway immediately. For a lot of folks this morning, a year removed from winning the title, what exactly led to the parting of ways between the Liberty and Sandy Brondello here?
Well, Malika, I know you guys talk about this a lot in the NBA and in other sports, but it was really championship or bust for New York and for Sandy Brondello. And in fact, if they hadn't won the championship last year, we might have been having this conversation a year ago, which is maybe a little startling to fans outside, given how, excuse me for those noises, for how impactful she'd been for that franchise. But that is how bullish this organization is in New York, and how their ownership and management really are looking to just continue upon that success that they were able to get last year. We know that Breanna Stewart said the other day when they lost in Game 3 that they had Sandy's back. We actually just talked with Becky Hammond here at Aces Shoot-Around. She said she did not love this move for Sandy, and really just spoke to the fact that she is such a quality person and quality coach, and that is such a rare mix for a head coach in all really sports to have. And so I think for New York moving forward, I would expect them to really, again, be bullish in who they go after. We know that they are.
Man, it's a little shocking to even hear the word championship thrown around like it doesn't mean anything. How is that even possible when Sandy Brondello is literally the winningest coach in franchise history? That's insane. And here's the kicker. There's already speculation that someone from the NBA could be headed to New York. That's been the word on the street. I've even heard whispers that Brondello's replacement might already be inside the organization, like they've got someone waiting in the wings. But let's stop and think about this for a second. At what point do you look around that locker room and realize nobody's going to buy in? Because that's a reality for whoever takes this job. Imagine being the coach who has to walk into a championship team, one that just won under Sandy, and convince those players to trust you. No one's going to rock with you from the start. That means you're stepping into a situation where you've already lost before you even begin. Like, you haven't even coached a single practice, haven't drawn up a single play, and already the players are looking at you sideways. That's wild. It blows my mind that they fired Sandy Brondello for losing in the playoffs when it wasn't even her fault. Let's be real. Injuries, roster depth, those are things completely out of a coach's control. And yet, she still led this team to back-to-back finals and delivered a championship. How do you turn around and say, yeah, we're moving on? I just can't get over that. For the life of me, I'll never understand how you fire a coach for playoff losses that weren't on her. If she had drawn up bad schemes, used terrible rotations, or been clearly outcoached, sure, that's different. But that's not what happened. Brondello gave this team everything. To me, this feels less like a basketball decision and more like a front office power play. No coach in their right mind should lose their job after delivering the greatest success the franchise has ever seen. Honestly, I think this move could come back to haunt the Liberty, and it won't take long. Just look at Brondello's resume. In 2022, the Liberty went 16-20 and lost in the first round. In 2023, she turned it around, 32-8 and all the way to the finals. In 2024, another 32-8 season, but this time she wins it all. And if you go back to 2020 with Phoenix, she went 27-17, another winning record, even though they lost in the first round. Come on, man. Where else do you see this happening? You're telling me that resume doesn't speak for itself? This is bad. Whoever ends up with Brondello is getting a blessing. Honestly, I pray the Indiana Fever find a way to bring her in. Can you even imagine? They've got to find a plan, an idea, something, because if they miss this opportunity, it would be a generational mistake. And look at the reactions around the league. Becky Hammon isn't a fan of this firing at all. Cheryl Reeve in Minnesota is proof that when you have a good coach, you keep the good coach. That doesn't mean you win every year. It means you respect and build around the right leader.
Every time an organization, and it happens all the time in professional sports, but it's really hard to rip up a foundation and just start over and over, every year or every 2 years. I mean, you look at, poor Devin Booker, how many head coaches that guy had? It's just hard to reboot every year. Now, I know it seems like the coaches is the easiest thing to remove, but if you got a good coach, you keep it. Did anybody find out how many years Cheryl's been in Minnesota? Because I think that should be 2010. That should kind of be the model. If you know you have a good coach, you keep a good coach. And it doesn't mean you win every year. There can be rough years in between, but you continue to stay competitive and you invest in what you have, you invest in your leadership.
Cheryl Reeve on Sandy Brondello being let go in New York.
I think we said it this time last year, actually, the stakes, as we've seen the business grow, the stakes grow higher. And I think that my biggest thoughts on it is that, I've said this before, I think Sandy's a heck of a coach, and Sandy will land on her feet like she always does. And I am absolutely thrilled upon Seattle, Toronto, and Portland that I was just gifted a championship level coach. And we're obviously, though we're competitors, I think a lot of Sandy personally and professionally.
Coach Stephanie White on firing of Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello and the turnover rate in the W.
You saw the news out of New York this morning?
Yes.
What was your immediate reaction to that?
Just, disappointed obviously for Sandy. She's a great coach, great human being. And of course, in our profession, you hate to see that.
I guess what do you make of just the pace of turnover that you've seen in the W over the last few years?
I don't know. I mean, those are jobs above my pay grade, so I don't really know what to make of it.
What did you try to get accomplished yesterday?
At the end of the day, this changes everything. ESPN basically revealed that Sandy Brondello was never truly secure in New York. It was championship or bust in the very beginning. And even though she delivered more wins than any coach in Liberty history, it still wasn't enough to save her job. That's crazy. Now the Liberty are taking a huge gamble. Because if players like Breanna Stewart or even Sabrina Ionescu decide to leave, this move could backfire in ways the front office never saw coming. Meanwhile, Sandy's legacy speaks for itself. She's going to land on her feet, no doubt about it. Any team, or even an expansion franchise, that hires her will be getting a proven winner and leader. But I want to hear from you in the comments. Did New York make the right move, or did they just commit one of the biggest mistakes in franchise history? Drop your thoughts. Turn on those notifications and stay tuned, because this story is far from over.